phase, and then Tristana, looking at their general damage profile, I think Tristana is going to have to be doing the lion's share of that DPS in late game.
Yeah, 100%. And then the question is, how safe can Yopa be in those team fights? I mean, his team is built around skirmishes, around engages. The enemy team also has a lot of good tools to get on that Tristana. Tristana in that regard, pretty safe champion, but safety is not an option.
Lune not in the best spot here. He is in fact on the Zilean as well. Hantera has taken the Varus, so they haven't put their manager on the AD carry role, as we maybe would have expected to happen. A flash as well burnt from Clocks from Ica, going deep forward to find that Q. Takes a bit of poke in return, so it's a stressful level 1, but only some summoners lost on either side.
It became pretty stressful for Clocks there at the end, and I would give out a fair warning to not underestimate Lunet Zilean. It's one of those old school supports. The man played support way back when. We're talking literally Season 1. And his Blitz and his Zilean were pretty damn impressive. I don't know how that holds up right now. That's something we'll figure out live. But yeah, I love to see Hantera on the Varus as well, see how good his AD carry is.
Absolutely, as a player who is coming in here with an EU Masters Championship to their name on K-Corp back in 2022. Hantera, we know, has the chops, at least on his main role, to win the whole dang thing. So we're still trying to get out of play-ins here. We'll see if this Varus for him is enough to get this series started off right. As in the 2v2 at least, as we touched on, Varus and Zilean, great range to play with. Tristana early in the game does not have the range that we'd expect him to have later on. And then Clocks without that flash early on as well means that they should be in a good position, Aegis bot lane, at least for the early stages.
It's kind of a spin on the poke lane you sometimes see around the Varus with the Karma. Now you have the Zilean, and the poke that lands does hurt if he can find the bombs, definitely with that summon area as well. And you see them actually using it for good pressure. I mean, Lunet, the basics, they will be there. He knows how to play League of Legends, he knows how to manage the team, so he probably knows all the tactics as well. And in that regard, with their double shoving bot lane right now, they are actually forcing Yopa to play on their tower, and as you said, rightfully so. He is supposed to be the main damage dealer, but I think that Tristana pivot also helps him control the lane a bit more. Oh,
full engage onto Hantera, there's the flash burst, he still has the heal to work with. Yopa flashing in with their jump reset, and now Hantera dropping ever lower. The all-in from Partizan bot lane, it's first blood for the late game win condition.
Yopa showing that aggression along with Clocks, that's why they picked up the Tristana to go for those fights. And Aegis wasn't really ready. They had the shove, but they weren't able to sidestep the engage from Clocks there. Hantara kind of a bit too late on his summoners, and yeah, they get taken down. And this is what you don't want to see as an Aegis fan. Their only slip up in groups was at the end against GK, who we just saw dominate the last best of 3. So this should be a really strong team, but whatever happened, it shouldn't be the bot lane getting rolling so easily rather, with Lunet in the ranks. And sadly, it did happen. Hantera no sums, Lunet no sums, so they're still not in any, like, they're still in a lot of danger. They're not safe at all. So this could spiral out of control really quickly.
It is a bit of a tale as old as time in bot lane there. You draft the long range bullying bot lane. Oh, look, they can't get any farm. They can't do anything. We're so strong right now. And then you walk into a hook and you're dead. And well, there goes the advantage. Unfortunate. As first blood into Yopa, it means he does get that Noon Quiver on the first back. Those all-ins got even scarier, and Hantera now has no summoners to play with, so they're going to have to play with that range to the maximum for the next little while.
For Partizan, this is perfect. We already see Vi sneaking into the bush. It is pinked out though, but they pushed the wave into the tower, made it bounce, so now they have complete control. The only sad part is you're playing with a Tristana, so if you're lost hitting, you're actually shoving the wave. But yeah, the Tristana also allows them to play as aggressive as they were. Ooh, Aegis might actually be in trouble here.
Skumon's on the way down that lane. They are hard committing forward. Clocks can't find the grand entrance. Does have a battle dance to get the safety if he needs it. They will just take a bit of poke and back away, as the Wukong coming around the corner would be a bit disastrous if they push that any further.
Snilla was looking for it. They know they can extend the engage with their Khan. Sadly, that charm from Rilla doesn't actually hit the mark, and Skumont was actually covering in the bot side. He hasn't really made his impact on the map yet. He's a very good supportive style jungler. The first time I saw him was actually in promo relegations for the Elite Series. He sadly didn't make it, but he was one of the better players on the team, and he went straight from playing in the open tour circuit in France, like Division 3 basically, to getting scouted for Aegis, which is already amazing, but he would love to get that main stage of EMEA Masters as well, so I'm looking towards him to try to support one of his lanes in the coming minutes.
We have seen a number of these players just firing up out of nowhere. The meteoric rises coming through. E-roll in the last series, unfortunately, they could not get the job done there. But there are a lot of hungry young players in the EMEA system, as there always are, ready to grab those spots. As you say, Kumon coming right up from the French 3rd Division. Rilla again lands the charm here now, and he's got the support. But a flash away from Ica, and the ult back onto Clocks. He's dropping ever low with the Twin Fangs. Flashback from Snilla. They really want to make this work. They'll find the 1-for-1. As Lune escapes into mid lane, flashes in, tries to find the double bomb. But there will not be a connection. It's 1-for-1.
Tried to set it up for Skewman to maybe react. Does burn his flash in the process, so that's a bit awkward at the end, but very well played from Ica. You were talking about young guns in the EMEA Masters. Let's talk about this old fox right there. He saw that he was getting ganked. He actually ate the charm, so good setup from Rilla, but then flashes out and lands his Petrifying Gaze on Clocks. Beautifully played there. He really wanted to get that kill out as well, even though his lane was in a bit of an awkward state, just to make sure that Partisans, even though they make a proactive play around the mid lane, they actually go 1-for-1, and it's a bad trade. I mean, you send 3 people down there. Ica actually 1v3s on the Cassiopeia, gets a kill out of it, but he doesn't have his flash.
Rounds with the miasma onto Rilla there. Doesn't have a result, does land the charm again. No Clocks here for round 2, but Skumon's ready and waiting, and Clocks is only level 3. Walks slap bang into Wukong, forces to knock up and finds both of them, in fact, and Sneel around the corner, trying to get this Cassio down, but can't find her. Goes down to Snilla, Clocks again on the run, and Rilla just doesn't have the damage. And here's Lune rocking up again late to the party, but this time it's a clean win for Aegis.
And you said it before we rolled into the game completely, that Partisans really love to play around that mid lane. You already see the Vi Ari, you know that a lot of action is going to be happening there, and after winning the bot side, Clocks really tried to push mid lane. Oh, Yoppa.
With the hard dive, doesn't quite get the job done, but it was close.
It was really close, and I think in the end, a bit too over-eager maybe on the dive. He couldn't tank another tower shot there. Tried to get the damage down, just didn't quite have enough. But in the mid lane, it's kind of spiraling out of control because Skewmont, Eka, and Lunit are all on point on those fights. The Conqueror procced, and that was the huge difference maker there. When Eka was playing forward, he actually got his Conqueror off really fast, so that gave him that extra HP at the end to survive the fight, and that extra damage to actually really destroy Rilla's health bar. And it's getting a bit rough for Partisans. They actually had the opening after the first blood. They decided to use Clocks actively on the map around mid lane, but those 2 mid ganks, yeah, they didn't really pay off.
Exactly, and it's gold into the pocket of, as you called him, the old dog, the veteran in mid lane, Ica, one of the most experienced players in this whole tournament. He's now got 2 kills to himself on a great scaling mage in the mid lane. And they don't now have to rely on Hantera role swapped on Tavares or Lune coming in from the management position. They don't have to rely on them to be primary carries, at least for now. Ica is in a good position to pull that weight as Skumon's onto the Herald, onto this top side. We haven't seen much of this top lane matchup at all. We probably wouldn't expect to. The kill threat is not high on either side, and they have just been having a bit of a chill one up there.
I mean, we just see Lot take out the second plate already, so he's also playing that strong side top. He's ahead in CS. As that matchup goes as well, as long as Cassante doesn't go all out, he is winning. It's just a surviving matchup for Lundorf. See if his finishes is back there. He actually gets to back. To be fair to Hantera, he gets puts on the AD carry. He gets a Varus. So the easy cop-out is to go lethality, because then you're just looking to poke before a fight starts. But he looked at the enemy team and was like, if I go lethality, they'll just they won't allow me to poke at all. They'll just eat 1 arrow and go all in. And he actually goes for the on-hit Varus. Now, this is probably the most difficult AD carry that is meta right now that you can play against the enemy comp. I mean, you can't peel for yourself. You have an Ari and a Vi diving you. Your range is really short, and you're playing on-hit Varus. So I am interested to see what he's going to do in the mid to late game, how many basic attacks he's going to get off in a team fight. Because, remind you, this guy is a support mate.
Exactly, it's got a bit of pressure on him there. See if he can step up to it. And the fact that they are now still 500 gold ahead are Aegis coming out of this 10-minute mark. Down 1 dragon, but have gotten away from the aggressive moves of Partisans, who have been yet to be really challenged in this event. They were the only team to 6-0 their group, I believe, and they kind of looked pretty clean doing it. The only time they suffered was when they themselves were getting a bit overexcited, a bit greedy. And they haven't had, you know, an LFL seed to face, didn't have any Super League to face. because they don't even have any play-in spots here. They're all main stage. Didn't have any TCL, you know? They were clowning on a lot of the other ERLs, but everyone knows LFL has kind of been the benchmark for many years in this region.
Yeah, in recent history, LFL has just straight up been the big bad in the EMEA Master scene. They have been the strongest one coming into the last 4 to 5 EMEA Masters. Getting upset maybe in summer, but still, if you know that past EMEA Master planes, you had a 4th seed of LFL get through and actually get through groups in the main stage, you know enough. Aegis coming in as a 3rd seed technically should be stronger. LFL had maybe a bit of a less decent season, but yeah, the bar is set really high. And Aegis actually is a very good team. It's a new organization as well. They took the spot of Misfits Premier. But if you look at the names, they really went all out to get really good players in Hantera, in Aika, and also in Shinigari, who sadly isn't here yet.
Oh, Hantera in a bit of a position here. Does go into the resurrection from the Zillion ultimate, but I imagine just the delay. There's the jump in from Joffa, who will cleanse as well, just to make sure he doesn't get stunned on the tower somehow. But Snilla pulled off that successful sneaking into the bot lane. Hantera eats the second death. Herald dropped in topside though, so they'll be getting something on top side of the map, or Aegis.
Yeah, that's a full tower, and they can get off the second charge. So Aegis, as we expected, playing around the top side while I was ranting about how this team actually made LFL, and I like the way they built their team with a rookie in the jungle, and then a less known top laner in Lot. They lose the bot side, but they respond in the top side, and this is what we want to see from them. Try to catch the weakness they have right now with that inexperienced bot lane. They're playing good macro. They actually caught a lot of the mid ganks from Partisans, making sure they stop that train in their tracks. And if you look at the gold lead right now, Aegis is actually ahead, even though their bot side looks a bit doomed. And Joppa is online, which is good for Partisans. Their top side is winning out really badly.
Really, really good position for them. They've got the Rod of Ages completed on Ica to start stacking up. Mythics across the board for all 3 of those top players for Aegis. So now we have to see how this translates into the next few minutes. The Dragon coming up in 35. First already in the pocket of Partisans. They would love to keep that stacking going. I imagine you want to get that extra win condition on deck. Play around that bot side, Joppa with the Kraken Slayer. And they do have, as we said, great tools to engage. The Rakan, the Vi, the Ari. These can all be very quick snap decision makers. And if they can get on top of Hantera, on top of Ica even, who doesn't have a Zhonya's or anything, they might be able to just wipe him out and win the fight off that.
And then my eyes are fixed on Ica, on Lunet, because even though Partisans have amazing tools, I mean, there is almost no draft you wanted to be able to hard engage better and follow up. I mean, the Kai'Sa on AD carry might have a slightly better follow up, and a Malphite would have been fun, but if you just look at the Rakan, the Vi, the Ari link up, we might see an action around this Dragon. It is really scary, but Aegis gave themselves the tools to disengage that. Eka with the Miasma can just ground that first primary engage, and Lot can be a very scary frontline to get through. And if Lunet stays behind enough with his ulti, it's actually really difficult for Partisans to get a proper engage off if it's not in a skirmish and if it's in a 5v5.
Have the full 10 players rocked up to the Dragon Pit to contest this first Infernal. Partisans had to seed the ground in the river though, push back to the mid lane tower. Now they're the ones on the retake, as it were. Skumon starts it up. They don't have any vision in the pit, the Partisans. They're going to have to force the issue if they want to get their way in. As the Dragon goes lower, no opening is found. The Dragons are evened up.
They pay the due respect to this comp of Aegis. It's really hard to engage into in that 5v5. And it's mainly because of the champions that Eka and Lot are planting.
Now forcing the issue to get on top of Ica. They're diving forward. You can see they're forced him to flash over the wall. As Skumon drops ever lower. He does have the Zillion ult ready though. They don't want to finish him off. No one's even that low on either side as Santera flashes over and catches a fleeing Snilla. Picks up the kill for himself. Ica again aggressed on, but low, but not dead. And Lundorf abandoned on the front line. Partisans, they tried to make it work, but they couldn't get those kills over the line.
I mean, you gotta give it to Hantera, the aggression on the Varus just flashing into the pit because he knows he has the backup, and then Ica hits a huge petrifying gaze there, even if it's just for the damage on most of the members of Partisans. They try to re-engage on him because he's flashless. But Partisans, it really got stopped in their tracks. They had the ball running in the early game around the bot lane. They tried to get that to the mid lane to get an advantage. That didn't work out, and now in the 5v5, they make the right call to not over-engage on that Dragon. I mean, it's just one Dragon. It's one stock of many you need to get to that soul. and they try to force a skirmish, which is where their opening lies. Like if they can find a hard engage on Ica or on Skewment, which they were looking for before that Aegis is in a 5v5 position, they might catch them off guard, and they have a lot of hard engages to do that. But Aegis know how to play around it, clean it up pretty well, and are now actually comfortably in a driving seat.
Yeah, 1,000 in their favor. Another Herald picked up by Skewmont, evened up the Dragons. I believe Lundorf did eat a Wukong clone in that fight as well. Saw the execute kind of bar and the health disappear, and I didn't see the kill feed, and I was like, oh dear. Oh, it's happened. It's the
it would
classic.
have mattered because Lunet had the Zulian on Skewment, but yeah, it was the clone, so that was kind of sad.
It is tough. It is tough to come through here. So, they've actually given Ica the Herald as well, not given to Skewmont, so he's currently in the bot lane. We might see him just get a covered shove up in that bot side to open there. Taps, they rotate him back into this mid lane. His Partisans are currently located around this mid area. They still know they have to play around Yoppa in some regard. This is their main pivot point, as has been all the way through the play-ins.
And it can still go really wrong for Aegis in one of those skirmishes. This one was a bit too fast, maybe. They really wanted to get a catch after rotating 5 people around the dragon, and they hoped that Huntera and Lunet would be too slow to react on that rotation, but Huntera used his flash over a wall and he was fine, apparently. But if they ever get one of the kills, if they ever get Yoppa to fully stack his explosive charge and actually get a jump reset with a Kraken Slayer, it can spiral out of control. I mean, really gets resets on his ulti. But for now, Aegis is playing around really comfortably, really cleanly, better than they played at the end of group stage, where they got upset by GK twice.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the wake-up call they needed, or maybe Lunet is just calling all the good shots.
He's putting the work in right now. Maybe GK just cracked out of their minds. They have, after all, already qualified to the main stage in the Arabian League's debut in the EMEA system. Pretty great result for them, all things considered. And Aegis in a comfortable spot themselves. The LFL, as we said, the big bad of the EMEA region, would be expected to make main stage kind of at the bare minimum. That is how high everyone thinks of the LFL right now. As we see Ica on the bot side, there's a lot of people down here. They really want to make this play happen.
See, now Ica outplayed this already with a petrifying gaze, so they need to be really careful.
He knows.
He has a good spidey sense. Has been around for longer than 2 days, so he knows when he doesn't see a lot of people on the map, he's probably in danger.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other push happening on the map. There's nothing else going on. The only thing that could really be happening is they're trying to get me in because I have this push, and I have the Herald and everything, and I am the sole carry of this team right now, 2-1, most kills, etc., you know? All he has to do is not go down, and he will not avail himself. 2 Partisans have to back away. Dragon now up in 45 seconds, so we could see another engagement around this one. Partisans, we saw them last time, try to make it work on Ica, and I believe his flash will maybe just be down for about 10 seconds when it spawns.
It will come down to trying to control the vision, but Aegis is already ahead of that play, and it's kind of sad for Partisans. They try to find an opening bot side. They invest 3 members again. It's kind of how you need to play. I mean, you actually also delay the Rift Herald, so in that regard, it seemed fine, but you do lose way too many resources for it. You don't make the play happen, and now you don't have control over River. So you have to seed this dragon. You can't walk in to the river when Aegis has all the vision control, because their comp is just really good at taking your engage head on and just disrupting it. So Ica will probably slither into this bot side to pop the Herald. They are doing the Dragon right now, and it's up to Partisans to make a good move. But if you see that Yoppa is pushing in the top side, then you know they realized they had to seed this objective.
Yeah, he has pulled the recall though, isn't going top lane to try and force with Tristan pushing power to get some gold back on the map. He is going to try and rotate over, maybe expects a bit more investment from Aegis to get this Herald in for threatening a second charge. They'll find the one onto bot lane tower as the Dragon does fall. I don't imagine there will be any more pressure to be mounted here, and I maybe would have liked to see Yoppa hang around in top lane for a little longer, try and get some damage on that tower. The Herald does drop from bot lane.
Yeah, 100%. If we put on the hat of Captain Hindsight here, Yoppa should have stayed topside, pushed in the tower, but the problem is the information denial.
With full vision.
Yeah, the problem for Partisans right there is the information denial that Aegis had. They cleared the entire river, and as you said, with the Rift Herald barreling down the bot lane, nothing stops them from just going a 5-man stack there, try to push for 2 towers, except the fact that they take the small victories, and that's all they need right now. the gold lead isn't huge. It's just 1,500 gold, but
Aegis hard committing, and Yopa is actually waiting in the brush right now. The second Cyclone charge, Lundor taking over lower, in comes Vi, onto the Cassiopeia with the knock-up to follow up. They can find the resets. This could be a great situation for Partisans. It's traded one form for now, top laner for top laner. Down goes Skumon, 2 for 1 now for Partisans. Again though, Aka, he slips away.
it's like it never happened. Yopa never reset out of the top side. He was still in that bush, and he was the surprise that Aegis wasn't ready for. Sadly, they don't have enough in the tank because of Aka surviving and TPing in the mid lane to start that Baron. There were still too many threats on the side of Aegis, definitely damage-wise, because that would have been huge, but it's still huge. I mean, the gold lead is smaller, you take some control back, and if you look at this Tristana, now 3-0-1, Kraken Slayer, and Navori Quickblade, that's gonna be a hell of a force to reckon with for Aegis.
It is a great spike, therefore, really just setting up the Yopa versus Ica, carry versus carry matchup, as Ica, with that 2-item spike that we know so well from the mid lane here. The Rod of Ages into Seraphs, very tanky, very hard to actually kill on the front line in those fights while still doing decent damage, and they have the stopwatch to work with, as does Hantera, so those carries really hard to actually get off the table.
Even the Cassante is gonna get into more trouble now, with Yopa starting to work towards his full lethality item, and in general, this game is still on a knife's edge, which is impressive for Aegis, because let's be honest, your team manager is playing Zillion in your game, and you're making it this even, but even is not enough for Aegis, as you said. The bar for LFL is the highest of any region. TCL coming in as a new challenger, eyes were fixed on that to see, like, can they be a great contester for the LFL, but that's the thing, like, you need to contest this region. You need to try to come to the level of this region and then beat them. And right now Aegis is showing that even with a setback in the first game, they are way too competitive. This team Partisans, they had an easier group maybe, if you look at like on paper the general strength of the group, but they went 6-0. So they were really dominating that group. And right now they are coming back into this game, they're clawing back at the advantage of Aegis and Ica, but it's just still there. It's still not enough. Like, Aegis is still in the lead with a 0-0-3 Lunet on Zillion.
Yeah, doing exactly what he needs to do, and just with the tools that Partizan has, you're never quite out. You can always find that miracle engage. As Ica gets aggressed on, trying to bait out the ultimate, Yopa cleanses it away, in with clocks to follow it up, and oh, the stasis, I thought they finally had it. Can they get it over the line? There is the shutdown, and the TP for Cassante trades back onto Yopa. Both the carries are down as Skumon rotates over, but Lundorf is there as well. Skumon finds Rakan, but now he's in the 1 versus 2. Hantera and Lune rotating to try and save him. A clutch Zillion ult forces the resurrection, and now Rilla piles it up the river. Everyone, one by one, marches into this fight, but it is Partisans coming away the winners, I think.
Well, it's a 2 for 2. I think Aegis...
I guess it's even, I suppose.
Yeah, it's really even. Aegis kind of caught that ball that Partisans was throwing really well, because in all intents and purposes... Oh no, it's not over yet.
Oh, he's being blocked up by Skumon. They get him with the Vault Breaker, but Rilla's got the ultimate still. Comes in with the charm, and they are going to find Skumon. Now it's a win for Partisans. I was just predicting the future.
Yeah, you were just foreshadowing some overexcitement from Skumon and Luna trying to actually take the win there. The way it started was so impressive to see. I mean, Aka bought so much time, the stopwatch coming out as well with the stasis. But as well, Yopa knowing that he can play forward as the only member because he has cleanse and he can actually get out of the miasma. It was such a good fight. Then we saw Aegis TP in Lot. He instantly went all out just to assassinate Yopa and give him the first deaths to try to turn the tides of that fight. And then Lunet coming in clutch with the ulti. It was such a beautiful fight to see on both fronts. Like, both teams were really drawing even blood there. And then at the end, sadly, Skumont and Lunet thought they found a pick on Snilla, but got caught off guard again. In the end, the gold lead goes to Partisans, but also we see that this game can actually take way longer than expected. I mean, we're 25 minutes in, there's no clear victor yet, and it is going to come down to these team fights that are really scrappy to see which team will actually edge out a small victory.
Absolutely, it is so close right now. I think it just felt like a win for Partisans initially, just because Ica died. Any fight where they managed to kill Ica feels like a win for Partisans, because it's just so hard to do.
Yeah, we just established that the raid boss on the side of Aegis is Ica on his Cassiopeia, but on the other side the same goes for Aegis, because they actually finally were able to take down Yopa's Tristana. I think like Lord Dominic's regards finish, that guy needs to instantly disappear from a fight. And I was looking at Huntera there at the end of the fight. I was like, okay, show me the money, man. You're walking into the fight late. You have the on-hit Varus. Maybe you can do something, but it's just so damn hard against the champions that were still alive. And as a support main, to be that carry for your team. So I'm interested to track how that goes in the next fights. I mean, he does have the shield, though, does have the Ginsus ready right now. Even a stopwatch to buy some time, but how much damage can he actually do in the fight?
He's got those key pieces of Thor, feeling confident to step up aggressively in a literal 1v5 scenario as the rest of his team all sitting behind him, but a charm onto Cassante, pops an early Zillion ultimate, forces the re-engage from Clocks. They really want to get this one going. Skewmon drops it below it, it's just the close side, but a charm onto Huntera. He still manages to get away. Lundor flashes in and noms him up with a feast. They managed to get a kill over the line. Oh, it looked very difficult, and it still continues to roll forward. The knock-up's still flying, the charm's connecting. It will just be the one kill for Partisans at the end of it all.
And just when Partisans need somebody to stand up in a team fight, Rill is the one to hit a few key charms, and then Lundorf finishes it off with a flash feast, as only real Cho'Gath enjoyers will do. But it looked so dire. I mean, Aika, at the end of it, his ulti wasn't as impactful as in other fights, but he was still full HP and he was still rocking up because he's 3 items strong. He has 10 stacks on that Rod of Aegis. He really, in those extended team fights, can do a lot of damage. And you saw that Partisans, even though they get a pick on the AD carry technically on Huntera, they can't really move forward. They can't really take a neutral objective. They can't even take the outer tower in the mid lane. So this game, it is spiraling a bit out of control in team fights for Aegis. It is really hard for them to keep their frontline lot alive if Partisans are going for those skirmishes with the range advantage they have. But at the same time, Partisans, they are not really finding that big opening they've been searching for so long.
You flagged it up when the Lord Doms came in for Yoppa. Aegis really need to deal with this because as tanky as Lot is, he was melting on the front line, and it forces that early Zillion ult that can't be used on Varus, can't be used on Cassio. And that just, the fight becomes so dangerous on the re-engage. But then, as you say, on the other side for Partisans, it's so dangerous to force out further because Cassio's still alive and she'll drop a miasma behind you, and suddenly it's a bit of a shaky situation. Very tough, still on the knife edge this game, and the fights are so very close. And we're seeing a lot more of these pitched battles, less of the picks, less of the skirmishes. Teams really want to find that big team fight win. They can break the game open, get the Baron maybe, and actually have a safe push as opposed to what they have to do now.
And I'm gonna be really honest and really blunt here. I did not expect this game to be so close.
Yeah, me neither.
You hear Lunet has to swap in. You're wondering what they're gonna do in the bot lane. We heard some dark tech that could be brought up with a Karma or a Senna, and then you see the Zillion, and you're like, whoa, that's actually a bit of a throwback, but also a bit of a risk. Right now, Aegis standing tall still. Partisans trying to break that shield that is Aegis, but it's not really working at the moment. And all eyes are fixed on the carries.
Right? Chipping bits off it, but they can't get that massive knockout punch that they're looking for. And Yoppa, as we flagged up, so important as a carry, and he is fed. He is the most fed member. He's got the most gold in this game, I'd wager, without having to check it over. And it's so hard still. This is the way they have been winning games all the way through EMEA Masters. And the system is still being implemented, but now you're up against LFL. Ooh, it's hard to get that across the line.
Definitely. Very good pivots from Aegis in the draft as well. The Cassiopeia didn't really have a lot of time because they were locking the champs in so fast, but it really put a stop to how Partisans wanted to unlock that mid-jungle. And definitely when they actually tried to force the issue after the first blood, Aika just getting the outplay in a 1v3, and then afterwards Skewmon being in position to catch that second gank. It made it so that the plan that Partisans have came online a bit later than it could have had, or could have been. But right now, Yoppa is still in position to be that carry. It's just really hard to get a kill. That's just, it's so hard to take someone down. When they finally burst through lot and it actually went really fast, he just gets a Zillion ult. And it's a bad ult because you don't want to use it on your tank at the start of the team fight. But because the Cassiopeia was still in position, it was a good ult because there was nothing else that Partisans could do.
Exactly. We did see a bit of tension there around the Baron pit. Skewmon went deep, did not quite spot Rill around the corner, then met up with Snealet in the other side of the jungle, and a quick blast cone separates them. As with all of this maneuvering, the mid lane tower is picked up as the Baron is just started up by Aegis, really trying to force something to happen in this game. Rill steps back, rooted Lundorf on the front line. Let's see how much damage he can take. Partisans, they feel like they have to go in. Clocks falls though, and there's no follow-up ready. They get damage onto Skewmon, but it's just the Zillion Resurrection. He's going to come right back with all the HP he needs. Partisans, the 4 versus 5. Can we still make this work? Rilla doesn't find the charm. Lundorf burning down the double bombs from Lunate. Instant cyclip of skirmishes, a shutdown for Hantera. Aegis on the side versus Yoppa. The carry versus carry. Breaks with no kills as Rilla will not find another charm. Lots TP back in. And these fights again are so tough for both sides. But Aegis now, they've broken back and they've got a Baron to pick up.
Aegis is just too damn good on the Cassiopeia. Like, I'm trying to track the moment where Yoppa can actually play forward and play in, and you can say, oh, Yoppa, you did so little damage in that fight. You didn't really get off a lot of basic attacks, but it's because even after Hantera using a really early ulti, that doesn't really amount to anything, and Skillman going in really deep after Lunet tries to set up the fight. You think, okay, this fight, it can turn any moment now. Like, Partisans, they can just go in, they can go for the resets. They have an Ahri, they have a Tristana, they have a Vi, but it's just Aegis holding down the fort, pumping out damage, using his ulti to instantly catch clocks and catch him out and burst him in the fight. And then afterwards, he moves up at the right times, just keeping that pressure on Yoppa.
Mila forced the flash away in the mid lane. We have the Baron push here for Aegis. They don't feel confident to step up very far. They still need to respect the snap engage tools of Partisans, but with everybody there, with the defensive tools they have, now with Hantera ready, they should be able to start cracking some structures and increase this gold lead. They've got it back for themselves. The Dragon was picked up by Partisans in the aftermath of the Baron as well, so they're on Cloud Soul points, but I dare say Cloud Soul is not what they would have wished to have in a game this close.
It might help with their engage comp a little bit. I mean, after using the ultis, the movement speed is not too bad, but I don't think any engages are going to be found without Aegis being in a 5-man stack. And the fact that Aegis have the comfort to force that Baron, to know that if Partisans walk up, we have the potential to outplay that fight, even though we're playing with Lunet, even though we're playing with Hantera on AD carry. It's just really, really impressive. And for Partisans, it's something they're breaking their teeth on right now, is they don't know how to fix this issue. They don't know how to get Yoppa actually in that position where he can carry the team fight, and it is becoming a kind of a damage issue where they don't really have range on their mid laner to do any damage. They have a front line, but it gets churned through really fast by the Conqueror, Cassiopeia, and by Hantera actually playing on hit Ferris that has Sonya as his third item, by the way. So they do have a lot of burst potential on even Lundorf, and it's becoming a real issue for Partisans in team fights.
That AP variant of on-hit Varus is coming up more and more often these days. We have seen the Rabadons come out as well as item number 4 in these moments. As the Zhonya's gives them even more defense. The look gets the knock-up, Snilla goes in, but he's straight into the ultimate and rooted up. Has to go golden. Yoppa on the side, you see him trying to find an angle. The Vi's already dropped to the Cassiopeia. And it's a 5 versus 4 here with the Baron push still continuing.
Yeah, it's 6 versus 4. They still have the Zillion ult. Yoppa gets actually stunned. It's fine, you have cleanse, but you didn't want to invest that so soon. And Lunet actually with the Zillion mechanics instantly finding that double bomb, making sure the cleanse is down. And now Aegis, they can just bolts down your base. Like, what is actually going to stop them? The Tristana doesn't even have cleanse anymore.
Oh, flashing from Ica, doesn't find the stuns, and a charm onto Lot on the side. He's burned down with the Andres. Zillion ult is committed, and he will back away. He's not going to fall, he's just going to be low HP. Rilla comes forward again, gets it unstoppable. He's burning down onto Cassante. They're onto Skewmon too. But the shields are there, and Aegis still strolling away with all 5 members. Rilla with one more ult charge. Does he commit again for Ica? Doesn't find the charm. And I think that's got to be it. No more tools in the tank.
The fact that Aegis get away there really has to hurt. Partisans almost found an opening after Yoppa having to cleanse early, and then the flash engage from Aegis not really hitting the mark. But then the sad part is they haven't had vision control in ages. And even though Rilla had TP, Lundorf had TP, there was no flank angle. Because if you can flank TP there, maybe you can extend the fight. Maybe you can find 1 or 2 kills and get the ball rolling again from there. And sadly for them, it's just watching how Aegis breaks open their base. The inhibitor down in the bot side is going to give over some farm, but it's not like Yoppa needs farm. I mean, the guy has 4 items. The problem is he just can't really seem to hit the back line, and he can't really seem to get through the front line without being in danger.
It's very, very tricky. Very, very tricky for him to manage right here. And without that cleanse, as they're coming up 50 seconds until the Cloud Soul point, Partisans would love to get something back in their favor after a fair few minutes. Would have been all Aegis all day. Charm onto Cassante. They'll find good damage. Only half of his hit points. Casante far from the linchpin of this game. Aegis positioning so well, so respectfully around Partisans now that they've got the game in their control.
I'm just not going to mention why I oot there because we don't have to highlight it. Aegis tried something in the mid lane, it kind of failed and gives Partisans some breathing room. You know, Eka doesn't have flash. Yoppa's flash is back. That could be huge in the next fight. The problem is engaging on a Cassiopeia. They still don't have a good way to do it. They kind of need to find a flank to make sure that Eka doesn't really have a good ult, but Aegis is not letting them. And then it's the question of, are you fast enough on your back step, basically? Not even a side step. You need to turn your back to that Cassiopeia when the ulti comes out. And even if you get Eka down, there's still the threat of the Zillion ult. And Aegis somehow, when I kind of counted them out for the first game, I was like, this is going to be really rough. They are so comfortable with Lunet on the roster.
Yeah, they have not missed a beat, that's for sure. There was one misstep in the laning phase, but it was not Lunet. It was Hantera stepping too far forward and getting caught up. Luna, without a death on the board, 0-0 and 8. Quintessential support scoreline, has been doing exactly what he needs to do. The Drake did go over to Aegis. We're going to the full 7 Drake sprint if the game even runs that long. Which, to be honest, keeping Elder off the table is probably preferable for Aegis right now. They're doing so well, just getting away and stopping Partisans and being able to finish the job on them, that adding an execute threshold is probably more risk than they need.
And I'm actually strapping in for something that could be a really long game as long as Partisans doesn't make a misstep around the Baron, because it's not like Aegis has a lot of range to siege. And they also have that danger of the hard engage of Partisans.
Yeah, we saw that before, right? We saw them shoving up with the last Baron, and they had to stand really far back.
We're testing the waters here around the Baron, though. And nobody really wants to commit to a fight yet. They really need to find a good engage, a good opening. But this is what I'm afraid of a little bit for a long game. Is as long as no team leaves that huge opening, the fights they tend to go like 1-0 or 1-1. It's never a wash. It's never an ace.
Oh, the costume on with the charm, even after he cloned as well. He's gonna fall into the GA. It's something grab for Partisans. Can they get away with a free this one? Snilla over the wall with the blast cone. That's a nice little catch by Rilla.
This is the only opening you're ever gonna get. Like this is actually where you kind of need to flip the game. You push the wave in, but the safe play, the non-Benelux play, I let my region shine through a bit too much, is to actually reset, take the cooldown on the GA. The problem there, like you get the GA right, you just see Lunet, this support that used to play in Season 1 on a team that nobody knows anymore called Cypher, Team Cypher. Yeah. He just rocks up with the Zillion and you're like, oh, okay, the fight is doomed, the fight is done.
Yeah, and they've got the TP. Partisans dared to send Lundorf into bot lane to catch the super wave and instantly had to drag him back. And now we continue this dance around the Baron. And the later this game goes, when we... Oh, hang on a second, Yoppa, he's forcing it. They're flipping it now. They're going for it. Still no flash quite on Ica. And Partisans peel off again. We do have a turret in mid lane, Rilla, though. They've kind of corralled Aegis, dragged up to this Baron, and now they weren't able to answer that push.
Partisans is actually playing with the pressure really well because they have the super minions in the bot side pushing in. So it's harder for them to play the map right now. But as you said, they just corral Aegis to the Baron because they have that pressure of a 4-item Tristana that can just burst through it.
Oh, again. Can they just take this?
They can if Aegis doesn't respond.
They've got it. No response.
They have this.
They took their eyes off the ball. They ran down mid lane to catch a random wave and lost the Baron for it. Partisans with a bit of daylight robbery here at 39 minutes.
You love to actually see this. This game is delivering on all fronts. I mean, Aegis had vision control for so damn long, but then Partisans just rock up one fight. They take over vision control, they take the J of Skewment, and then they use it so beautifully. Just pulling Aegis around the map, and even with their manager on the roster, they don't have the macro play to respond to that. It was really beautifully played by Partisans. It was hard for Aegis to run up. I mean, Aegis is great when they have vision control and they're in position first and then you're trying to come through a choke point. But running up is something they rather not do because that opens way too many risks. They don't really have the hard engage that Partisans have, and Partisans seem to recognize that fact in a late game and actually abuse it.
They certainly do. Now they're trying to get a push of their own down mid lane, and Aegis on the side. Hantera throws out the Chains of Corruption but won't find a target as Aegis again melt back into the jungle. Now Partisan's going to mount the 5-man push. They don't have to deal with the Bar Assault. They might have to deal with the Flash Icol. He's been feeling himself a little bit today. Skumond on the flanks as well. Let's see if Partisans give Aegis as much respect as Aegis gave Partisans when they had the lead.
I think both teams are actually commanding respect from their team right now. I'm starting to have a hard time not mentioning Huntera missing his ultis. I mean, it's the second one, so the slack is not there anymore, and it's not huge. I mean, the same problem is there. We literally have a Mexican standoff between these two teams where even if they get one kill, the fight definitely is not played. So a cooldown like a Ferris ult in another game, that would be huge. Here it's just like, okay, yeah, we just shoved the mid lane, that's it. Which feels a bit weird.
Yeah, as we continue to shove these waves with the Barons and we're all giving each other so much respect that we just can't fight, the game gets later and later. Everyone is buying more and more gold. Lundorf is literally fine, he has 7,000 HP or something. But as this game goes later and we're just farming up, we're just completing builds at this point. I guess the infinite stacking of Partisans is there for Lundorf on the HP department, but maybe that's not quite infinite. Yeah, he does have to go golden, avoid the double bomb. Lot not quite so infinite, as Partisans still with control of the mid wave. But not sure if they want to stand by it, not sure if they want to die on that hill, as the dragon is live. Yoppa's already working on it, and Aegis, are you going to force your way in? Are you going to muscle your way in to get the soul? Oh, charm found on the side of Aika. That's great damage as they find the soul. Snilla commits onto Aika, he goes constant. Can they find the Casio? Can they catch the carry? Beautiful knockup as Yoppa finally gets the reset, flashes onto Huntera. He is unleashed in this fight. The stasis drops left and right, but it is delaying the inevitable. Yoppa finally cracks the game, and Partisans with the Baron, you know they're pushing for the end.
This shield is finally broken, and it's on the back of Rilla being on that vision control, on that control ward. The first charm almost finished the game, but he missed, and then the second one, Eika actually missteps by going there again. Rilla beautifully played there, and Partisans, they finally take down Aegis.
What a stressful, tense, sweaty game that was, Dino. Oh my word, as the first game of a series, that one